الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما يرد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين. Respectful honored friends, mothers and sisters listening at home, as I was mentioning yesterday, that in this hadith Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala mentions that whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destines khair for, goodness for, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants them the tafaqquh of Deen, the understanding of Deen. And this was one of three things that I was mentioning with regards to indication towards the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with an individual. The forgotten diversion yesterday came to mind later on. But it's not necessary. Allah Ta'ala didn't want it to be mentioned yesterday, so it was left. But as I was mentioning, whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants khair for, Allah Ta'ala grants them the understanding of Deen. Which means that such a person is protected from ignorance, from jahalat. Something that greatly destroys our Deen and also destroys our a'mal, our ibadat, is ignorance, is jahalat. And how important it is for us to eradicate ourselves from jahalat, we can just gauge from the fact that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the first wahi to Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, no one would have expected that it would be that of Iqra. Meaning that if we were not aware of what the waqia of the Ghar Hira, the occasion and the incident of Ghar Hira, so if we had no knowledge of that at all, and if a survey was done amongst the Muslims and asked that what would you assume or think would have been the first revelation, or at least what topic it will be, we would have thought of salat, we would have thought of ibadat or tawheed itself, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, abstinence from shirk. There would have been many topics that we would have assumed that this would be the first wahi revealed, but we would not have thought of it being that of Iqra, of recite. We show that this revelation of Iqra, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this so that this ummah should not be an ignorant ummah. Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is created as for what? Illa liya'budun, so that we do the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for that it is imperative that we have knowledge as to how to do the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For ibadat to be done correctly, for it to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now for instance, the month of Ramadhan, so many masail pertaining to the Roza fasting as well. Now we do not expect every person to know all the masail, but if we do not even know of when to start, when to end, and so certain basic masails with regards to the obvious things that break and not break the fast, then it will affect our fast. We will be doing so many things which we might assume is fine in fasting, but in actuality it nullifies the fast. Or what could be happening is that something may not nullify the fast, we think it nullifies the fast. One must have example, vomiting in a state of fast. Even if a person vomits a mouthful in the state of fasting, intentionally or unintentionally, it does not break the fast. It is if a person was to swallow it, that would then break the fast. Otherwise, to vomit a mouthful does not break the fast. Now a lot of people are greatly confused with regards to this masla, or under the assumption that because they have vomited a full mouth, it means automatically that their fast has broken. And then what happens is, because they assume such, they will go and eat now. And by eating, they break their fast in that manner. Although for such a person, there will not be kafara on them if they start eating because of this, assuming that the fasting has broke. But in doing so, what will occur is that a whole days of fast is gone in vain. They have to make up for it, make qaza later on. Whereas they could have continued just the way they were, and it would not have have any impact on the fasting at all. So there are certain masail jaharat due to ignorance that it affects our ibadat as well. That's why knowledge of Deen is very important. And then along with that, as this hadith Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, that whoever Allah Ta'ala grants understanding of Deen, Allah Ta'ala grants, whoever Allah Ta'ala wants khair for, Allah Ta'ala grants them what? The tafaqquh fi Deen, the understanding of Deen. And the understanding, the tafaqquh of Deen, this is something that you do not get from books. It is not something that you learn, the tafaqquh of Deen. You will learn Deen, you will learn ilm Deen, but the understanding and the tafaqquh of Deen is something that you will not learn in the books. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants. It is knowledge that Allah ta'ala grants. And it is something that we can learn by being in the company of ulama, by being in company of the mashayikh, by being in company of those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted the understanding of Deen, the tafaqquh of Deen. By being in their company, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us also the understanding of Deen. And when we say understanding of Deen, what do you mean by understanding? What do you mean? What is understanding of Deen? Understanding of Deen is that whatever ilm and knowledge we have, how to utilize that ilm and knowledge, this is what the tafaqquh fi Deen is. Understanding of Deen is not just ilm. It is how to utilize that ilm, how to implement that ilm, when and how. This is what is regarded to be tafaqquh fi Deen, the understanding of Deen. One example, on one occasion, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi and Imam Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi were traveling, and while traveling, Imam Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi did imamat. And in that imamat, it was a Fajr Salat, and Imam Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi recited very short surahs in that Fajr Salat. Very short surahs in the Fajr Salat. Now Imam Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi fully is aware and knows all the masail pertaining to Salat, as well as the masail pertaining to the Sunan, Qiraat as well, that in which Salat, which is Mustahab and Sunnah, areas and parts to read in Salat, all these are fully aware of. But here, because they were in travel, so Imam Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi in a Salat like Fajr, wherein the Qiraat is lengthened, he recited very short surahs. Upon that, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi said to him that you have acquired the tafaqquh of Deen. Masail, Imam Yusuf, he knew all the masail that was there. The fiqh of Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi is based upon that of Imam Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi, Imam Muhammad rahmatullah alayhi, and of course Imam Azam, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, his ustad said to him that you have possessed what? The tafaqquh of Deen, the understanding of Deen. And this comes about by being in the righteous company, in good company. Otherwise, just by reading books, we will get knowledge, but we will not get the tafaqquh fi Deen. For that suhbat. Suhbat means companionship is very, very important. Nowadays there are many of us who will learn Deen, but we do not learn Deen directly from any scholars or from the ulama. We do not go in their suhbat, but we want to sit in the luxury and the comfort of our lounge, on our sofas, and we by means of YouTube and that, we want to learn Deen in a very easy and comfortable manner. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this topic. There's 2 or 3 Jummas I gave on this topic. And the recording of this is on our Islamic Tarbiyah Academy's YouTube channel. The other recordings, these Majlis as well, the person wants to recap, can be found there as well. मैं नहीं कहता कि भाई you have to subscribe to it. ये ज़रूरी नहीं है. फ़ायदा हो तो that's fine, but otherwise this is the audios are there. You won't get any videos there. You're not going to see me jumping up and down on there. You'll hear my voice, that's all that is there. That is essential, that's important, that's very good enough, isn't it? That is good enough. But हम तो इतने character heavy नहीं बयार that you're going to get a lot of entertainment with regards to maybe other movements and things and other ongoings. So on there you'll find, and the topic is that how many do what? They bypass the ulama and want to just sit there and get knowledge from YouTube. Whereas not realizing that, okay, that is, it means Allah Ta'ala has given us this means where it has become available for us that we can gain knowledge from a variety of scholars and ulama. But at the same time, what we have to remember is that our local ulama are more important. Why? Because they are the ones who are aware of what our condition is. They are the ones who we can directly interact with, who can mention masail according to what our condition is. And you can never replace physically being in the company of an alim, of the ulama. That physical companionship is something that you cannot replace. YouTube, no matter which great sheikh, alim you may be listening to, you will get the knowledge from there, but the effects of the sohbat of companionship, that you cannot get from YouTube or any other social media at all. Yes, for those who do not have any access to ulama, who live at a distance from ulama, who cannot have that, yes, they can benefit from it by all means. But those who are able to should not. Many of these bayanat that we listen there are international as well. And certain matters are mentioned according to the crowd that are gathered there in that gathering, according to certain ahwal, certain masail pertaining to that country, the people there, if it's question and answers as well. And we sat here, we just take that, we listen to that, and we try to adopt that here. It doesn't always work in such a manner. That's why, along with listening to that, we do not say you should not do so. Person should not bypass a person being directly in a company of the mashayikh, directly being in a company of the ulama. And the other harm of this is, my dear friends, that when you are sat in the company of the mashayikh, you know who the alim is, you know what their school of thought is, you also know what their aqidah is. So what you're going to get is going to be authentic, guaranteed from that person. But there on YouTube is a case of, we may search for certain topics, and in searching for those topics, we will just listen to whatever is available on that topic. And by doing so, we get confused, and we're going to confuse ourselves even more. My dear friends, it's not the time to go into it. Simple masla with regards to the Tarawih Salah that we have. People, those who have been reading 20 rakats Tarawih Salah the entire lives have been reading Tarawih Salah 20 rakats. Now what will occur is that they now might get a little confused on this. They will see the I.T.As who will get up and disturb the congregation and leave from the congregation. And they will think to themselves, well, this is quite cool, this is easy as well. 8 rakats, and before you know you're out of the masjid, it's very easy way out. And then they may wonder what's happening here, so the easiest thing is start Googling this matter. And now you do Google into it, and then you'll find that there will be those mentioning various things with regards to Tarawih. Now in that, you're just searching for that topic. In that topic, you will get those who will mention something to you, but the scholars of what their background is, or what their beliefs are, that is going to differ as well. So we will not be looking at what they're saying, we will not be looking at who is saying what, but we will just be looking at the topic and listening to that topic from somebody who may not be of correct means and source. Especially when it comes to many other masail. One example I gave, very important, is, for example, a person is interested in the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, and somebody wants to know more about Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. This is the example I gave, which is very important. We might have heard about Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq. We might want to know more about Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. So we might start searching Abu Bakr Siddiq. And in searching for Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, you're going to get a whole list of various lectures on Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. Then you'll get somebody who, okay, this might be somebody that you are aware of who this scholar is. You'll be listening to that scholar, and he's mentioning to you the fazail, the manaqib, the virtues of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. And then whilst you are listening to that or watching that, and then you have that column where you're going to have a lot of other alternates and other options. In that you'll find also different options there, and maybe somebody else mentioning something about Abu Bakr, another person Abu Bakr, something about Abu Bakr Siddiq. So you, out of the desire of wanting to know more, or curiosity, you're going to click on one of the other links that you may have, or options that you may have on the panel. And by doing so, you will eventually end up going to somebody who is actually a Shia, who is there not to mention the fazail, the virtues of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, but he's actually there to curse Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. He's there to curse Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. Now, if it is something so it's quite clear from the title, then you're going to abstain from that. You'll know that, look, this is wrong. But something may not be so clear in the title. Then what happens is you start listening to that. In listening to that wa'az and talk, where you had so much aqidat, so much love and belief in Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, you now end up listening to somebody else who may not be directly cursing Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, but is going down that route. And now he is mentioning all negatives with regard to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. And specifically mentioning certain waqiyat or incidents in history, which may be fact, which may be fake as well. Because the Shias have made up a lot of stories as well. Even hadiths they have made up as well. And yes, there are incidents that have occurred amongst the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala. And remember, the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala, they were human beings. They were not masoom, they were not angels. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Anbiya alayhim salatu wasallam, they were masoom, they made a mistake, Allah that rectified it immediately. The Sahaba were insan, human beings, just the way we were. Wahi, revelation did not come down upon them. And because they were human beings as we are, they had various understandings of things, they had natural feelings as well. We do not say that the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, all of them, none of them ever suffered from jealousy or pride or enmity or anything of that nature, nothing like that ever occurred in them, no. These things did occur there. The difference is that they had the companionship of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, and the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala to what they were in the days of ignorance in a short period of time from what to what they became. This is a miracle. This is the greatest of the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala from what to what they became. But they were human beings. In that there is going to be times wherein they are going to make mistakes. So one can never say that the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala never made any mistakes. This is impossible. They made mistakes as well. Just the way we make mistakes. But those mistakes that they have made do not mean that those mistakes are what we take from them. We use that against the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala. They had ikhtilaf, they had difference of opinion between them as well. They even went to war between them as well. But that is something that they knew, and them going to war with one another was also on the basis of haqq, not for personal reasons. To that extent that the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala, during the day in battle, he would be with one Sahabi. In the evening when he came to food and sitting down together, he would be in a company with the other Sahabi. He wouldn't be kicked out from that. What are you doing here? You're a traitor or so? No, that wasn't the case at all. So many times, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala and the manaqib, something good of Amir Muawiyah would be mentioned. And Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala would accept that. Something of Sayyidina Ali would be mentioned in the court in front of Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala. And Sayyidina Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala would accept that as well. And they both call one another on being on haqq. So this is their differences, my dear friends. That is all based upon haqq. But now the harm that I was mentioning to you, that somebody who is an enemy of the Sahaba, of the Khulafa Rashidi, of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, for instance, now they'll start listening to these things and certain incidents, true or non-true, these will come out to light, and now all of a sudden doubts are there in their minds. That till now they were always listening to positives with regard to the Sahaba. And now these are negative things. And the mind is the way the mind is. Curiosity is always there. You'll want to know a little more. So now what you're going to do is you're going to search similar like of topics with regard to Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. And then you're going to go again on those recommendations that keep on coming up to you. And from that, it's all planned in such a manner. Google knows, isn't it? This is how it's all, not Google has a mind to know, but that's how it is set out there. That it knows which route you are going to, and it will deliberately take you to those Ahle Batil sites and to Ahle Batil speakers and that. And then from one to where you end up. And before you know where you had a love and honor for Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, you reach a stage where now you are doubtful, you're not sure. You still have and don't have, you're not sure. Till then you come to that stage where now you become from those who start having hatred for Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. And where you are of that opinion that the rightful Khalifa after Sayyidina Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam was Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, now you have that opinion, no, that was not the case. And that's Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala. Nauzubillah, had deprived Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala of his rightful throne or his position to Khilafat and that. Now in this way your Aqidah has already diverted from that of the Al-Haq. And then in doing so, and you have all sorts of speakers. So a speaker may be there who is not on Haq, but you may like the manner in which that person speaks. Their manner of presentation might be something that is appealing to you. So accordingly you'll start listening to other talks of that individual. And by listening to other talks of that individual, you're going to become influenced, you're going to become brainwashed there as well. And because we cannot be asked to come to our ulama and ask them that, look, I've heard something like this, I've read this, is this correct, is this right or wrong, what is it that I'm supposed to be believing? Should I be listening to this person, should I not be listening to such a person? Then what happens is that we just go down in that way. We don't come to the masjid, we don't go to our local ulama, we don't sit in their program at all. And now the whole day we just sat there on those YouTube channels where a person who was on the right aqidah, the right belief, on the path of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, by means of not going anywhere at all, not leaving his home whatsoever, ends up going on down the path of Gumrai, going down the path of now his aqidah is totally corrupt, and now he even comes out of the fold of Islam. And these are incidents that have occurred and are happening as well. Now people of good families have left the fold of Islam and have become a Shia. They become a Shia, and how? Just by following these links and listening here and there. And especially when it comes to what? When it comes to finding a version of Deen that is very suitable to us, that is something that is compatible to us. Because this is how we want, we want things easy, we want everything easy for us. So if we find that somebody is up till now, because when we present Deen, we think, oh, now we understand that it is just our Deobandi ulama, Fula ulama, that these are the ones who seem to be the very sort of strict ones. They are the strict ones. They are a bit too strict on things and they give their interpretation of what Deen is and that. So we say this, why? Because now we are starting to be listening to others who we find these lot are so flexible. We've always been hearing that, look, it is wajib to keep a beard, you have to keep a beard, you have to keep a beard, it's wajib. And now, mashallah, this guy with a tie and suit and clean shaven. And he's saying that it's not wajib to keep a beard. It's fine, you don't need to keep a beard at all. So we'll think to ourselves, well, the whole lives we've been hearing this, and now look, we've got all these, and they're scholars as well. And they're mentioning this, so this is easy. He said, why should we be doing these things? Why should we be going for Salat with Jamaat for? Why should we be doing this? Why should we undertake this hardship and that hardship? There is so much ease that is there. In this way, a person will become so relaxed on his Deen, and eventually they'll almost leave the Deen as well. People who were practicing. Similarly, when it comes to madhab as well, those who, as I mentioned to you, who were perfectly fine reading 20 rakat salah. And now because of this, they've left that correct practice and gone on to the 8 rakat practice, thinking that they've gone on to right. But you are always on right. Those who may be following the fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi were not doing anything wrong by following Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi. Were not wrong in what they were doing, in the manner in which they were performing and reading their salat. But now going down this path, all of a sudden they go and think that this was wrong, and now they start following something else. That option may be correct as well. That option will be correct as well. But does not mean that what you were following was incorrect either. Doesn't mean that what you were following was incorrect either. That is not what it means. So if what you are following was not incorrect, and what they are following is correct as well, there is no need for you to leave which is correct anyway. Yes, if a person is doing something wrong, there is jahalat, ignorance, and now you know what the right is, yes, you should leave that. But there is no need for you to leave what you were doing which was correct to go for that which is also correct or may not be correct either. And this is something that happens. So we look for Deen in such a manner. And when we find a speaker who suits our nature, who's going to mention things to us and make flexibility for us and present things to us in such a manner, then we're going to, that is what we like, that's what we enjoy. And now, my dear friends, YouTube is such that you'll get all sorts of muftis on there as well. How you want the type of Deen that you may want, where almost every sin is fine and everything is fine, everything just goes. You'll find that type of mufti as well who will give you that fatwa and allow you to do that type of things as well. Who will allow you that type of things as well. So you may have that scholar who will tell you that, look, keeping the beard is wajib. And then you'll have those who may say to you, look, you should keep the beard, it's recommended, but it is not wajib. So you'll have maybe the two. And then you'll have those in between who themselves have got a fashionable beard, stating, no, it's fine, you can keep your beard in such a manner as well, there's nothing wrong in that at all. Keep your hair in a manner which is fine as well. Dress and be however you want to as well. No matter how many, this is what books might be on display, how much ilm a person may have, but then there is ilm, but there is no tafaqquh of deen, there is no understanding of deen. And this is how a person, such people will have so many followers as well. They'll have those who do follow them, who follow them, who will follow them, like following them. And will take everything that they say, because that is the type of deen that they want to hear. And this is how we are, isn't it? If we are told about, oh, look, we are doing this which is wrong, we don't want to listen to that. We don't like to be told something is wrong. We don't like where things are going to be a little difficult for us, or where it is very easy for us, and that is fine. That is the type of deen that we want. My dear friends, recently, Leeds Grand Mosque, it was. At the beginning of the month of Ramadan, they gave a fatwa. This is how, when we flexibility, what extreme that we go to. That at the moment in Ramadan the masjid is closed. So because it is closed due to COVID, whereas alhamdulillah we are at a stage now wherein alhamdulillah we're coming out of it. The government things had already opened up before Ramadan, and now not long other things are opening up. When things are opening up, but they decided that no, it's not, we're not going to take a chance and the masjid is going to remain closed. So because of that reason, they say you can do what? The Taraweeh will continue, the Imam them will do the Taraweeh. And those who are at home, they can virtually follow the Taraweeh from home. They can follow the Taraweeh virtually from home. Why? There is no basis at all. The only basis here for them is that, look, because you can see the Imam, you can see the Imam and you can hear the Imam, that is sufficient. So that is sufficient on the basis that because of the circumstances that we're living in. So if that is the case, why you make that effort to read the Taraweeh as well? Why those sitting at home can see the Imam al-Haram as well and hear him and see him in everything? So why they follow you instead? They rather just tell them to just follow the Taraweeh Imam al-Haram and follow his Taraweeh instead. So that is the easiest thing to do, isn't it? So this is how we become, and those are told, fine, it's very easy for us. Keep the masjid closed is fine. We don't need to go to the masjid. This is very easy to stay at home, put it on, and we'll just read it in the comfort of our home and that. And each after 4 rakats or whatever the case, look, dips, samosas and that, drinks and everything, we'll wear the shakes and everything. So that is very easy for us. And if we hear something like that, yes, why not? And on the other side, you'll have somebody who's telling you, the masjid is open, by come for Taraweeh, and all the fazail of Taraweeh, the rewards of the extra 40 sujood that you will get. And the Taraweeh is 20 rakats and that. And the one side you get, no, Taraweeh is not 20 rakats, 8 rakats. And that to 8 rakats sat at home following the 8 rakats. Nafs is the nafs. Person who doesn't have understanding of deen is going to want to go down that route, which creates so much ease for people. And this is a dangerous path, my dear friends. Especially when we know, let's what tafaqquh fi deen is by know your congregation, know your people. Know your people as well. This is how we are, we as a ummah. We as a ummah, we know how we are, how weak we are ourselves. How weak we are ourselves, that if we're going to start giving such a flexibility to a ummah that is already so lazy, then we're almost going down the path of destroying our deen. We're almost going down that path of destroying our deen, just the way we did during the lockdown time period as well, wherein people were given the license to do Eid Salat at home, were given a license of doing Jummah at home. I was totally against that and never signed any fatwa for that. And the consequences is that 1 year on now, and just 2 weeks ago, somebody was asking me that, look, lockdown, everything's over, masjids are open, but we are still doing Jummah in our workplace, is that allowed or not? We're still doing Jummah in our workplace, is that allowed or not? Whereas in that workplace, prior to all this, no Jummah, they would shut down, they would close. And all the Musallis were allowed to go for Jummah, you go for Jummah. So at least this way, the masla is separate. The masla is okay, if they read Jummah, then the Jummah will be done. The Jummah will be discharged. But now that ahmiyat, that meaning that even those who go once a week to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even that is stopped. Even that stops. Even that once a week you go to the masjid, so at least there's some ruhaniyat that you're going to get from that. Some benefit you're going to go get by just going that once a week to the masjid. Now in this way, by making so much ease that no, just stay at work, you don't need to be given off from work, just do the Jummah at work, so you're going to get the Jummah here at work. Now what's happening is that they don't even get to go for Jummah on that once a week. And then we give the license towards what? The Eid Salat at home and here and there as well. So again, Eid Salat as well. The timing doesn't suit us, fine, what do we do? I got a friend who's Hafiz, I've got a friend who's an alim, are you available? Can you do Jummah for us in our attic, Jummah for in our garage or here? But you need minimum so many people, tell them we'll get so many people and we'll do Jummah because this is the other time, masjid times do not suit us. So instead of us altering things to get to the masjid on time, we will now get Jummah in our homes and Eid in our homes to suit us. Home delivery. Home delivery, isn't it? And that Imam will go off as well to do it rather than he should say. A couple of my students have asked me even in the previous lockdown, these are what they're asking, should I go? And I was saying, Hargiz Madda. Hargiz Madda, when he was fine. Tell him this read Zohar at home now. Read Zohar at home, because if you're going to go in this manner later on as well, when they're not feeling well or there's some reason or some laziness or whatsoever, they'll call you again then as well. They'll call you again. And if you say no, now they're going to say to you, but you came last time, why are you not coming this time? So tell them, no, you're not going to come at all. Read Zohar at home, you can't do Jummah, read Zohar at home instead. So there are circumstances. And although the ulama had put into place at that time that due to these restrictions and these reasons, okay, there is the flexibility of doing Jummah and Eid whatever at home and to maintain that. But our people, this is how we are. The biggest muftis are the awam. The biggest muftis are awam. Give them any possibility, give them any masla somewhere, any idea, click. That bulb. And that's it. They'll conjure 100 more masail from it. They'll conjure so many more masail from it, and leeways from it, and loopholes from it. So you gave them that idea. And once you've given them that idea, now a whole lot of masail have come about, and now you have to face with it. You can't say impermissible, because they're not impermissible. So now where do you go? So this is how our nature is, my dear friends. That's why it's very, very important of being in the company. Kunu masadiqeen. The world can advance as much as it wants to, but the direct companionship of being in a company of somebody, like we two, my dear friends, we have Deen with us, or knowledge that the Sahaba did not have. We have ilm, but the Sahaba did not have. Why? Because the Sahaba, they had knowledge of what they heard specifically from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We have everything collective. One Sahabi may have 20 hadiths, one has 100 hadiths, one has 1,000 hadiths. We have all the hadiths from all the Sahaba. We have everything collectively in front of us. So much so that now you don't even need a live video or anything at all. Even that's outdated. Just you have now apps as well. In Arabic and that. And just in there, put your search and everything, and you'll get everything that you want on your mobile phone now, on your laptop, and that you'll get it. Everything is there, whichever hadith you want to, in the commentary of the hadith, all this is so easily available for us now. So easily available for us. So we have it more knowledge than which the Sahaba had individually, and at ease as well. But can any of us become a Sahabi? If all had knowledge, Quran in digital form and everything, none of us can have that amount. We will have more knowledge than the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala as well. Meaning that one individual Sahabi, the amount we've got all combined in front of us. That amount of knowledge we have, but despite all of that, none can become a Sahabi. Why? Because we do not have the companionship of Nabi Karim sallallahu ta'ala sallam. Which shows that how important companionship is. Allah Ta'ala, time is up as well. Allah Ta'ala grant us all the understanding. And I cannot stress how important it is for us to be in the company of the mashayikh and the ulama, and from the ulama as well, specifically the mashayikh. Allah Ta'ala grant us all the understanding. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.